If someone praises a Liverpool player, then that's not impressive. When a Man United player, he talks highly of a Liverpool player, then that's something impressive now. It's when praise comes from the enemy that sometimes we think of it that this is not something special. What I will share with you today, inshallah ta'ala, is the 7th hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari. This is to be found in the opening chapters on Kitab Bad al-Wahdi. And it relates to the story of Abu Sufyan. Abu Sufyan bin Harb radiyallahu ta'ala anhu eventually did become a ghulam and servant, a companion of our Prophet, peace be upon him. But this story relates to a time when he was not a companion, he was the enemy of Islam. This story relates to the time of Hudaybiyah, when there was a truce between the Muslims and the kuffar of Makkah. There was no war going on, they could not fight. There was a truce and a sunnah. Abu Sufyan at the time, he was on a trading expedition to Jerusalem with his friends. Remember, he was a non-Muslim. When the people of Jerusalem heard that Abu Sufyan was here and that he had come from Makkah, the leader there, whose name was Heraclius, what we call in the Roman, who was the king, you could say, of Rome, the king of the Romans, the Byzantine Empire, he heard that Abu Sufyan was here. So he said, Abu Sufyan, I want to speak to you and your friends. So he called him to his palace in Jerusalem. Why did Hirkal want to speak to Abu Sufyan? Well, Hirkal, like the rest of the Middle East, had heard of this great figure who had appeared in the form of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Hirkal, the king of the Byzantine Empire, wanted to learn more about him. So he knew that Abu Sufyan had come from there, that he had seen a messenger, that he had lived with him, that he wanted his opinion about what Muhammad was like. So Hirkal called Abu Sufyan and all of his friends to his palace. First thing he asked, he said, out of all of you, who is closest to Muhammad, peace be upon him? Abu Sufyan stepped forward and said that in terms of closeness, in terms of rishtadari, I am the closest from amongst all of us here to Sayyidina Rasulullah, to Muhammad, peace be upon him. Going 4 or 5 generations back, Abu Sufyan and Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they shared the same forefather. Abu Sufyan was told to stand forward in front of Hirkal, the rest of them were told to stand right behind. So Abu Sufyan had his backs to his companions and he was facing Hirkal. He did this deliberately. Why? Because Hirkal said that Hirkal, Abu Sufyan, you are going to answer my question. I'm going to ask you a few questions. The companions that are behind you, I want you to listen very carefully to his responses. If he lies in any of his responses, the companions must speak up. I would full guarantee that whatever questions I am about to ask you, Abu Sufyan, you have to answer correctly and honestly. The questioning began. The first question that Hirkal asked Abu Sufyan about Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was, what is his family status like? Meaning, what's his khandan like? What's his clan and what's his lineage like? Abu Sufyan, although remember he was an enemy of Islam, he said that Muhammad, peace be upon him, comes from the most noblest of families. Huwafina zu nasab. Nasab wala. He is very, very highly regarded in that sense. Has anyone claimed to be a messenger before amongst you? That was the next question. That amongst the Arabs, has anyone claimed before you to be a prophet in living time? Abu Sufyan replied that no one has made the same claims. Tell me, are there any kings in the ancestry of Sayyidina Muhammad, peace be upon him? This is the question that Hirkal asked Abu Sufyan. That in his fathers or forefathers, has anyone a king, or did anyone claim to be a king? Abu Sufyan answered that no one has claimed to be a king. The next question that Hirkal asked, tell me, what kind of people follow Muhammad, peace be upon him? Are they the noble and rich people, or is it the poor, destitute and needy people that are following him? His companions, what are they mainly made up of, the rich or the poor? Abu Sufyan replied that it is the poor people who are more following him. The next question that Hirkal had to ask, tell me, Abu Sufyan, day by day, are the number who follow Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, are they increasing or are they decreasing? Abu Sufyan replied that somehow the Muslims are getting more and more. They are not decreasing at all. Each and every day, more people are accepting Iman. More people are accepting Islam. The next question, does anyone become a Muslim and then denounce their religion, become murtad basically? Become a Muslim and then become a kafir again? Have you seen that happen? Abu Sufyan replied that no one has done that. I can't think of a single name of a person who has accepted faith at the hands of the Messenger, peace be upon him, and then say that now I am a kafir once again. Has he ever lied to you before claiming to be a messenger? This is the question that Hirqal asked Abu Sufyan. That even before claiming to be a prophet, did he ever lie to you? Abu Sufyan gave an honest answer when he said that no, he has never lied to us. Has he ever broken his promises? Abu Sufyan replied that at the moment we have a sulah, we have a truce, he hasn't broken it yet. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but as it stands, he has never broken his promises. When you engage in war with him, well, then what is the war like? Abu Sufyan replied that sometimes we are victorious, sometimes they are victorious. It is half and half. The final question that Hirqal had to ask Abu Sufyan about Sayyidina Muhammad, peace be upon him, was what does he order? What is he telling you to do? Abu Sufyan explained that he informs and he tries to encourage us to worship Allah alone. Not to do shirk, to give up the habits of the ancestors when they used to worship idols, to pray salah, to speak the truth, to be chaste, and most importantly, to be good to your relatives, good to the people around you. These are roughly the 10 questions that Hirqal had to ask Abu Sufyan, who was the enemy of Islam at the time. What Hirqal then proceeded to do is that he gave himself a review of the questions that he had just asked. And he gave a reason and justification for asking them in the first place. So he proceeded to give a review then, an analysis of the questions that he asked Abu Sufyan and why he asked them. So he said that number one, Abu Sufyan, I asked you what is his family status like, and you told me that he comes from a good family. Hirqal then said that, look, I know that all prophets and messengers, they always come from the best families. Number two, I asked you that has anyone claimed to be a king or a Nabi from his ancestors? You said no. And I know that is a fact because if he had, then people would have said that he is just trying to reclaim the kingdom that belonged to his fathers. He's just trying to relight someone else's claim to prophethood. Number three, I asked you, are the poor people following him or the rich people? You said that the poor people are following him. Believe me, he said that this is what happens with most prophets and messengers. At the beginning of Islam, it is not the rich, noble, important people that follow the messengers, it is the poor, needy people that follow the prophets and messengers. Then I asked you that has anyone become a non-Muslim after accepting Islam? Meaning, has anyone become a murtad? You said no one has become a murtad. Hirqal explained that that is a sign of true faith. That is a sign of conviction. Because once Iman enters into your heart, it is very difficult for it to leave. That's what happens with a religion which is truthful. I asked you, has he ever lied to you before, to amongst the people? You said he has never lied. And that is the answer that I was expecting, Hirqal explained. Because think about it. If he had never lied to people, do you really think he's going to lie to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now? He's never lied amongst you lot. Who are you? You're not very important. Is he going to lie against the Creator now when he claims to be a prophet? Then I asked you, has he ever broken his promises? You said he has never broken his promises. Again, Hirqal explained that is exactly what I expect from prophets and messengers. They never break their promises. They are always truthful, they are always full of integrity. Then I asked you, what does he order? And you told me that he tells us all to worship Allah, not to commit shirk, to be good, to pray, to tell the truth. Hirqal, subhanallah, he explained that if what he says is the truth and the information that you have given is 100% accurate. Hirqal explained that to Abu Sufyan that very soon he will too occupy this very land that we are standing on. This is in Jerusalem. Remember, Hirqal hadn't yet met the messenger. He had just heard a report, and even that report was from a non-Muslim, an enemy of Islam. But just by hearing that report, Hirqal, he explained to Abu Sufyan that very soon he will be the Badshah, he will be the king of this land as well. He went on to explain that I knew that he was coming because I am a learned individual. I have read the previous scriptures as well. I knew that his appearance was imminent. What I didn't know, Hirqal explained, that I did not know that he would come from the Quraysh, from the Arabs. We actually thought he would come from Banu Israel. That is the one thing that has surprised us. And then he went on to explain, and subhanAllah, he was just showing his love for Sayyidina Muhammad, peace be upon him. He said, if I could, then certainly I would walk and I would go to his place and I would meet him. He went on to explain, and he said to Abu Sufyan, he said, if I was with him right now, I would wash his feet as well. I would wash Sayyidina Muhammad's feet as well. That is the words he used. لَغَسَلْتُ عَنْ قَدَمَيْهِ. I would certainly wash his feet. He himself was a king. He was the king of the Byzantines. Yet he was saying that I would wash the feet of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then Hirqal, he asked for the letter to be shown to him, which had been sent by another companion, Dihya, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Remember, it was a time when our messenger was sending letters to all of the great leaders and asking them to accept Islam. Hirqal too had been given a letter, and Dihya had been left with the responsibility to pass this on to Hirqal. And so Hirqal, he asked for one of his people to read that letter. So this is the letter that came from Sayyidina Rasulullah to Hirqal, and he's in it. He said, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Min Muhammad Abdullahi wa Rasulihi, from Muhammad, the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger, ila Hirqal Azim al-Rum, to Hirqal, who is the leader of Rum. Salam ala man ittaba'al huda, peace upon the one who follows guidance. Amma ba'd, fa inni ad'uka bid'ayat al-Islam. For indeed I call you, I invite you towards the call of Islam. Aslim taslam. Become a Muslim and you will find peace. This is the letter from Sayyidina Rasulullah to Hirqal. Yu'tika Allah ajraka marratain. And if you do, Allah will give you the reward twice over. One for being a good Christian, one for then becoming a Muslim as well. فَإِن تَوَلَّوْتَ فَإِنَّ عَلَيْكَ إِسْمَ الْأَرِسِيِّينَ. But if you turn away, then even the people who are following you, you will bear the burden for that as well. Meaning that if you don't accept Islam, they won't accept it. You will pay the price for it as well. Hirqal was an astrologer as well. He used to read the stars. He was a foreteller, a fortune teller. That night, he looked at the stars, and from reading the stars, he could understand that the leader had appeared from the community who practiced circumcision, khatan. The next morning, he went to his ministers and he went to his leaders, and he asked them that which type of people practice circumcision. The people around him said it is the Jews that practice it. Anyone else, he asked. At first they were not sure, but eventually they realized that the Arabs, and in particular the Muslims, they also practice circumcision as well. From that now, he became convinced that Sayyiduna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam indeed was the final messenger. He had become convinced almost, you could say. What did he do then? He went to the Syrian town, today it is the Syrian town of Homs. There he called all the great priests and rabbis, all the important religious leaders, and he made them sit in his palace. What he did was he ensured that once all of the great leaders had entered into the palace, he shut and bolted all of the doors. He stood and he began his conversation with his great leaders. And he said that, please, great leaders, you know how honest and truthful I am. I tell you now with great sincerity, with great ikhlas, that if you want success in this world and in the hereafter, you must believe in Sayyiduna Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. for he has appeared, he is in Makkah Sharif, we must all accept Islam.